Dan Dickau here for Gonzaga Nation SI on the Gonzaga Nation Media Network with a quick recap of the Final Four semis and a preview of tonight's championship game. So obviously, FAU and San Diego State were in a classic tilt of two underdogs that have played unbelievably well throughout the whole entire, not just season, but NCAA tournament. Both teams seem to be really peaking. Florida Atlantic out of the Conference USA has been tremendous. They've been a fun story to watch. They've been terrific under Coach Dusty May throughout the year. And then the national spotlight kind of shone on them, and they stepped up to the challenge, making it all the way to the Final Four. But San Diego State, they've been under the radar throughout the course of the regular season. But in Mountain West play, they were outright conference champs. They won the conference tournament title. Just a terrific, I can't say basketball team because it's really a program, what they've done. Steve Fisher years ago took it over when they were one of the worst teams in America. Now, under Coach Brian Dutcher, who was Fisher's right-hand man for a long time at Michigan, then at San Diego State, has done a tremendous job of keep the progress going, and now he's got them in the national title game. But when you look at the FAU San Diego State game, FAU really looked like they were going to pull away from the Aztecs in that first half, but the grinded out grittiness, defensive intensity of San Diego State keeps them in every single basketball game. I was able to call probably 4 or 5 games this year of theirs throughout the season for CBS Sports Network. And that's one thing that I always said during those games is their defense is going to give them a chance and an opportunity to win games in the NCAA tournament. And when their offense is good, they'll be able to take advantage of those chances to win games. And that's what you saw down the stretch. Defense kept them in it. Offense did just enough to get them the final possession of the game where it was in striking distance to get the rebound. Love the fact that San Diego State did not call a timeout in that situation to put in a set play, which allows in turn the defense to have a set defense. So you want to push the ball in a transition situation like that, which is what Lamont Butler did, get their defense on their heels. Didn't get anything on that first initial push, but great patience to pull it out, take one more hesitate, dribble, survey the defense, and realize the game clock was going down. He had to let it fly. He had the confidence, he had the wherewithal, he had the presence of mind, and he had the skill to knock it down. He did knock down a similar shot earlier in the season with about a week or two left. I believe it was at New Mexico. Similar situation, pushed the ball down the floor, hit a game-winning 3 as the buzzer went off. So it's not his first time hitting a game winner this season, but Lamont Butler hits the big shot for them to advance. In the second game, Miami and UConn, I thought it was a really well-played game. I thought you could have gone either direction, but in the end, UConn just looks too dang good. I mean, Miami, I thought, played really well in stretches. Isaiah Wong, good player. Nigel Pack, good player. But just and Williams, good player, but just too much balance, too much depth, too much just coming at you in waves with physical toughness for UConn. I looked at Ken Palm this morning. I mean, they are clearly the number 1 team analytically in the country. San Diego State has made strides. They're sitting at 14 due to their recent play in the NCAA tournament. But as far as balance, both ends of the floor, UConn is looking unbelievably good right now. UConn, number 3 in the country on offensive efficiency, and I believe they're 8 defense. For San Diego State, they sit 14. They're right around 35-40 offensive efficiency, and they're the 4th best defense in the country. So when you take those numbers and you look at tonight's game, which we'll do in a second, it shows you a lot. But UConn just did not give Isaiah Wong and the other guards of Miami any freebies, any easy looks. And those are talented players. Isaiah Wong, I mean, the more I watched him in the NCAA tournament, the more I liked his game, his shiftiness, his creativeness, his ability to get buckets, whether in transition, whether in the half court. He just creates space. He's just a bucket getter. But, to now look at the matchup tonight, San Diego State and UConn, San Diego State does have some size to match up with Snogo and Donovan Clingan on the interior. Nathan Mensah is a legit 7-footer. Shot block, not much of a scorer, so he's not really going to put either Sanogo or Klingon in foul trouble, I don't think. But he does a really good job of crashing the offensive glass when it's timely and when it's needed. Jaden Ledee, I think, is going to be very important off the bench. He's played really well in the NCAA tournament. He's physical, he's strong, doesn't back down. Not a tremendous scoring threat, but he's had some nice moments in the NCAA tournament. Keyshawn Johnson, I think, is going to be key because his activity, his athleticism on the offensive glass can pose problems for a lot of teams. Now, the question is, will it pose problems for a team with size and toughness like UConn? We'll find out. But in the backcourt, I think is really where this game is going to be won or lost for either team. UConn, I really like their backcourt of Jackson and Jordan Hawkins. Jordan Hawkins has been unbelievably good. I mean, you see his name skyrocketing up NBA draft lists over the last month of the season and then into this NCAA tournament. He's played tremendously well. Can score it from beyond the arc, score it in transition, catch and shoot, one-dribble pull-ups. Just a really good, talented offensive player. Jackson, I think, does such a good job of getting them into their offense. He's not their primary ball handler, but he's one of those guys that just understands the game. His IQ is off the charts. Calcaterra comes off the bench. The USD transfer comes off the bench, gives them a punch, gives them a scoring impact from beyond the 3-point line. So that's a couple guys that are going to be really important to kind of really look at. But the other guy I think that doesn't get a ton of credit, but I think deserves it would be Tristan Newton. I said Jackson's primary ball handler, which I feel he is. He gets them into offense, but Newton, is probably their what they call their point guard. So that matchup, those guys on the perimeter for UConn going against Lamont Butler, Matt Bradley, Adam Seiko, Darion Trammell. That's going to be a really good fun matchup. All players in this game can defend. They'll pick you up 94 feet. They'll make life difficult on ball handlers. They'll fight through screens, whether it's pick and roll stuff. They'll get over the top or they're forced down where they don't allow the ball handler to use a pick and roll, depending on coverages. But then they're also really good off the ball, fighting through screens when it's a wide pin down or floppy actions, getting through dribble handoffs, being in the gaps, being opportunistic in the passing lanes. Both of these defensive teams are great on the perimeter defensively. I said it on a broadcast earlier this year. I thought Lamont Butler might be the best guard I've seen in person this year, getting over the top of ball screens. He does not get screened in ball screen situations, and it's impressive. It's crazy to watch because he's that good at it. But come time for my prediction, I think it's going to be a heck of a game. I think it's going to be a defensive slugfest because as good as UConn is on the offensive end, San Diego State does not give up transition buckets. They don't give up second chance points. They make things difficult. They make things tough. But I do think it's going to be a low scoring game as compared to what some of the others have been in the NCAA tournament for UConn. I'm going to say it's going to be in the upper 60s and UConn is going to win. But I do think it's going to be a single digit game. I think San Diego State is playing with that much confidence, that much belief, and they're playing that well right now that they're going to make this game interesting. Now, I would love to see a West Coast team win it. Haven't had a West Coast champion since 97 in Arizona. Before that, I believe it was 94 or 95 with UCLA. It's about time there's a title coming from the West Coast. Now, I would hope and I wished it was coming from Gonzaga, but if that's not the case, want San Diego State to represent in a title game. But it's going to be difficult. I do think UConn's going to win tonight, but I'm wishing San Diego State nothing but the best of luck. If you're still watching, if you're listening, I've got Timmy 2K headband, Timmy 2K t-shirt. If you are interested in the merch of Timmy 2K for the Zags Collective, go check out the Zags Collective online. They are selling all kind of Gonzaga player merchandise, but in particular celebrating Drew Timme being one of the greats of all time for Gonzaga. Leading scorer, definitely would be on the Mount Rushmore of Gonzaga players. So go check out the Timmy 2K merchandise for the Zags Collective. So for Gonzaga Nation SI, recap of the Final Four and a preview of tonight's national title game. I've said it before. We're going to start breaking down the offseason for the Zags, the transfer portal, and what that means. 2 Zags are already in the portal. Hunter Salas and Dom Harris. We'll talk about that individually and collectively, what it means for those guys. But lots of content still on its way for Gonzaga Nation SI.